I was 53, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. It came as a bit of a shock, but I decided at that stage that with what I knew about Parkinson's and how it progressed, I wasn't going to let Parkinson's define me, and I wasn't going to be a Parkinson's disease sufferer. So I carried on with life, and as the symptoms became more noticeable, I agreed to start a course of medication which helped to moderate the symptoms, and I just carried on with my life as it was. I was in the habit of turning around on my sewing chair, standing up and crossing to the cutting table. The morning I had the fall, I was in a hurry and I didn't think of what I was doing, and I turned in one fluid movement, turned, stepped up, approached the cutting table. My feet got tangled up. I had nothing to cling on to or to stop or nothing to catch me, and I fell on my right hip on the concrete floor and I broke my hip. He gave me the time frame and and outlined very clearly and carefully what the process would be, so that I had confidence that I was going to be well looked after. They were helpful and supportive, and they made it quite clear that they understood there was pain and discomfort, and that it was possible to minimise or to treat the pain so that it minimised the discomfort in an unknown situation. Then I met up with the physiotherapist who was encouraging but insistent, and I am pleased that they were insistent, because the temptation was to rest and relax and not to push the pain threshold. And I'm pleased that the physiotherapist did what they did. So that's quite early on in the process. They outlined the necessary exercises to help me become mobile again. I'm very grateful and think that contributed to the way I recovered, and I was from then determined to become as mobile and as active as I possibly could, and learn to manage the change that having a repaired hip has made to me. I realised that it wasn't up to other people to identify the hazards and become responsible for my rehabilitation and continuing in an active life. It was up to me. So one of the most important things became modifying the space that I use most to continue in the hobby that is most important to me. The personal trainer at the Health and Fitness Centre interviewed me, asked lots of questions, and put together a set of exercises using the equipment they have to help me with mobility and balancing. And it's regularly upgraded. And so I realised that it's important to maintain mobility, balancing and activity so that I can minimise the likelihood of falling. So it all hinges together. The green prescription, the physiotherapy, the minimising or the identification and minimising the hazards, and the way I live, so that I can continue to live as normally as possible. The family that live with me and my sister that I have most contact with, and my son and his partner, who live closest, are all aware of what I take and how much I take and when I take it, so that if I am immobilised, any one of them knows which set of medication to help me with. I am conscious of how I stand and how I sit. And I try to make this as unobtrusive as possible. So I put in place activity or modifications to my activities so that they're more deliberate. One of the things I have now is a little platform under my desk that my son made, so that when I'm sewing, I put my feet on the platform that raises them just slightly off the ground, so that when I have to stand, I have to take my feet off the platform, place my feet on the floor, turn my chair and stand up, then turn round to my sewing table or one of my fabric bins, so that I'm minimising the potential for smooth, uncontrolled movement that was the cause initially of the fall that I had.